Hey, everybody, it's your girl, Nick. Thank you once again for joining us for the Bo Knows Business. Listen, this is my favorite thing. I do a lot of stuff, but this has become quickly one of my favorite times of day to sit down and connect with one of my Bo sisters. The Bo Collective, you know by now, we are 50 amazing Black women owners who have grown their businesses dramatically to over 1 million each. They're going to share their story with you every week. You're going to get nuggets on how they became who they are, what their influences were, and most importantly, how to scale your business. All right. So this week, you all are in for a treat. I hope you are stringing these pearls together because we are going to have such an amazing necklace as this journey ends. Today's pearl is Dr. Gina Merritt, my sister in real estate, I say my soul sister. And when I say soul, I mean this woman is fire. She is passion. She is all things no BS. She might let one slip on you today. She's a cusser, just like me. She's a cusser. But guess what? This is the Bo Collective, so we can do what we want. Let's bring Dr. Gina Merritt on stage today. Dr. Gina,
Hello, my love. How are
how
you?
are you? Woohoo! We finally get to do this. You are an extraordinarily busy woman. I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Wonderful. So, listen, let's get started. I'm here. I know I'm a host, but I am really an audience member because I know by now that the stories that make you all who you are, they're extraordinary and they're so much fun. They're so much fun. They're so inspirational. So I want to hear your story. I want to hear where you grew up. I know, but I want our peeps to know where you grew up. What were your early influences? What were you like as a little kid? That's what I want to know. What did Dr. Gina, little Gina, look like? All right, take it away. And tell us, I'm sorry, tell us your business name and then tell us about little Gina.
Yep. My business name is Northern Real Estate Urban Ventures. And little Gina, I think what's unique about where I've wound up in my career and trying to tie that back to my childhood is that even as a child, I was a cusser, but part of it was really that I had a lot of responsibility when I was a young person. So my mom passed away when I was 13. My father is an alcoholic, and I wound up having to raise my three siblings. And so that really makes you hyper responsible. And so, every day after school, I'd come right home, cook dinner, take care of my siblings, make sure they did their homework. I did the laundry, I did the grocery shopping. So I really spent a lot of my childhood sort of managing a household. And I think that's part of what's influenced me to be the boss, right? Because I couldn't help it. I was the boss at 13. So that's really sort of, I think, what drives me
Where
still.
were you born? Where were you
Yeah,
raised?
how can I leave that out? I mean, that's
I
part
mean,
of why I
girl.
tell people, right? The boogie down, the boogie down. Yes, I'm born and bred in the Bronx, New York. So lots of people do though have to ask me where I'm from. But when I get angry, right, and start to cussing, then people realize,
Then they
oh,
know. Then they
she must
know.
be from New
Word.
York.
Ah, so I knew your story. I appreciate your story. And let me ask you, we probably have stereotypes. I'm from California. We got stereotypes about Cali girls, New York, boogie down, but your influence in being from New York, what do you feel stronger? Did those experiences and where you were grown, where your adversity, if you will, do you do you know that point where you experienced a change?
Sure, sure. In my doctoral program, we focused on lots of things, but one of the things we sort of thought about is what's called a crucible, like that moment in your life
Yeah.
that had huge impact. on you. And so there are two of these crucibles that I think about a lot, actually. One is my father, but not in the way you might think. So
Okay.
my father said to me when I was probably about 15 years old, he said, you know, the reason why women get divorced so often is because they don't stay home and take care of their babies. And I said to my father in response, I said, no, the reason why why the divorce rate is so high now is because women can get jobs and don't have to put up with your crap. Okay, I tried not to cuss there. But so that really influenced me. I then decided I need to be the boss of my own life. Like I need to
Mhm.
be able to take care of myself and my family and not rely on a man. Not that I'm a man hater, because I got a fine husband who's a good husband, but that's really what sort of drove me to
Yeah.
do my own thing.
Yes.
The second person was Mrs. Brown, who passed. She was my she was my English teacher in high school. And I had gotten put out of the honors program. And really, knowing what I know now, I know it was an unfortunate thing about my race. Me
Mhm.
and Latino people got pushed out of the program. And so when I was in her class, she was like, you know, I said, I want to get back into the honors program. And she said, well, Gina, this is what you do. You come in, you work hard, you get A's on all these things, and I will recommend you to that program. A black woman, and
Mhm.
so she mentored me through that whole year. She helped me stay on track, and then I was elevated and did all honors classes. And so both of those things I still think about regularly. About
Yes.
if not for those for that thing that my father said to me,
Yes. Yeah.
and this teacher, would I be where I am today? So yeah,
Yeah.
those were very important influences.
I'm asking because I'm just curious because you lost your mom at a critical point. What was your mother like?
That's a good question. I can't even tell you that I know that well. Being 13, and really, I grew up in sort of a dysfunctional household. The one thing or two or three things I remember is that she was very protective of us, right, from
Okay.
anything in the environment. So I think I actually did keep that part of her. But then I also remember my little brother, the youngest one, like that was her baby, right? She did everything to keep him sort of out of harm's way. It was three girls and a little boy, and that was her little baby. Um, but you know, she was very generous. She was very kind. She was very loving. Those are the things I remember. But you know, my early childhood was so sort of traumatic that you know most of those memories weren't necessarily positive. But those are the
Mhm.
things that it took away. What a kind soul she was.
Well, I know that I get to see the soft side of Dr. Gina, and I know that her spirit and that kindness definitely lives on through her daughter and her granddaughter.
Thank
So
you.
I thank you so much for sharing that. So I want to move to the next chapter, and thank you, and I'm so grateful for you sharing. Now let's take this to like college and early career, right? So I know that you're the dopest real estate developer going, but tell me how you got there from a professional perspective.
Um, well, that's also interesting. And um, professional perspective, I mean, I went to Howard University, right, undergrad. I wound up working on Wall Street. I went to the Darden Business School. And while at Darden, realized that I really didn't want to go back to Wall Street, and I didn't want to work for a large company. I sort of just didn't want to be a body thrown at a project. And also because of that whole bossiness quotient from my childhood, you know, it's something that I knew I needed to pursue something bigger. So I wound up while I was in business school interviewing with a whole bunch of companies in DC. I think I knew I didn't want to go back to New York because, you know, New York is New York. And so thought sometime I'm going to settle down. And so why not try to do that in a place that's not so busy? And so I wound up really throwing my resume at everything that it would stick to in DC.
Okay.
I interviewed with a whole bunch of folks. I wound up with Clark. Clark Construction really was sort of the parent or the company with all of the resources. They sort of spun off a real estate group, and those guys hired me. They went to Darden and came back to Darden to recruit. But the fascinating thing about this whole circuitous story is that when I was about eight, from the time I was eight till the time I was 15, I had a recurring dream every night about a bulldozer chasing me.
Really?
Yes, and I didn't know what that was. Sometimes it would grab me,
That's
sometimes it wouldn't, and I
fascinating.
would cry. Sometimes I would cry all the time. It was chasing me for years, right? Then I went to Howard for MIS in business, and Darden is a general management MBA. I focused on operations and finance. So when I started this job and I walked up to my first project in Herndon, Virginia, I drove up the first day of work, 12-acre site. What do you think I saw? And I was in my car boo-hooing,
Oh,
trembling. I'm like, this is what I was supposed to do. In
oh,
my opinion, that's divine. This is what I was supposed to do. And I did it.
yes, girl. Oh, I love that you never share. I love the damn bowl podcast because nobody talk. We don't have time to talk ever. We're business, business, business. This is such a
That's how I
pearl. I
wound up
never
here.
knew that.
No, it's
That
crazy.
is so dope. That is
Crazy.
so dope. And look, you've been chasing that thing. You've turned it on its heels, and now you're chasing it.
Mhm. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is amazing. So you bit your teeth, your construction management, your development
Mhm.
early on. Fascinating. How did you make that leap into entrepreneurship? We're going to go into that third chapter,
Sure.
and I want you to blend a little bit, Gina. Give us, obviously, how you started your business, and then tell us a couple of like hard knock life stories that you can pull out from our audience. I'm sure we have people not only just looking to do and scale their business, but a fair amount that may have some specific interest in construction management development. Tell us some of those early stories.
Sure. I started my company really in my apartment in California, of all places. I was living in California. I had worked for a development company out there. And then my now ex-husband was at Berkeley and then decided he wasn't interested in a job. And so convinced me to start a company. So essentially we had just had a baby. So I mean, I have photos of me nursing my daughter and on the computer, right, doing work, trying to start this company. And we focused on community development work. So we worked with a bunch of nonprofits in California. We worked with some consultants that would consult for cities, doing sort of urban work, financing, redevelopment projects. So we did a lot of support work for bigger, larger developers as well as consultants. Then relocated back to the East Coast because we won the rights to develop a property I still own in Annapolis called the Bates School. And so then I struggled a little bit with being an entrepreneur. Really, I was really financially supporting myself and my daughter. So I actually had to go and work for a little bit, and I had no worries about that. I didn't have enough ego, and that was fine. I said I'm taking care of my baby. That's what's most important. So if I've got to put a pin in the full on entrepreneurship role, then that's what I'll do. I did some consulting, but I also had a full-time job. And then fortunately, a nonprofit in DC needed a lot of help. They had 10 projects they were working on. And so I sort of relaunched my company in terms of those 10 projects. And at that time, I was able to do my own work and pull together a huge amount of experience. And really, though, had a tough time. I mean, the most of the clients that I worked with were women.
Mhm,
Lots of them were Black women. It
mhm,
was very difficult, I hate to say it, to get the support of others to help me sort of grow my business or to mentor me. I was
mhm,
really mostly on my own for the last 2 decades, but that's okay. I mean, I feel like it's made me more resilient. And the place I'm at now, I have $300 million of projects in my pipeline where I'm the owner. I've spent 20 years consulting for other owners, and so that's been a huge journey, but one that I'm proud of, but one that I don't regret. I spent 20 years taking care of my baby, making sure she got out of college because I didn't have a mom to take care of me. So that was my focus. Now that she's graduated, I'm in a place where I can just go full bore in terms of my development work. I can take all the development risk. I have lenders and investors that are willing to invest in me with 2 decades of experience. I'm really low risk, right, in terms of being a developer. So I've come a long way. And one thing I would say to the ladies out there, I think a lot of us understand being business owners and the sort of reputation that comes along with that, being a Black woman in business, right? They will call you the B word all day. And let me tell you, I've heard that. I've heard that for 2 decades. And I've
Mhm.
heard that a lot from my male peers. And I'm okay with that. I will be the baddest boss bee with my $300 million pipeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Snap, snaps. So no, I love it. I mean, I think again the resiliency. I always say, if you look at these interviews, we do focus on challenges that Black women have.
Hmm.
But when you put it in with entrepreneurship as a whole, right? Like it's just in our DNA. If
It
you are
is.
an entrepreneur, I don't care if you're Black, white, or purple, this stuff is hard. Like there
It is
is a lot of risk.
very
There's
hard.
a lot of things that you control, but there are a lot more things that you are responding and reacting to. Things change on a dime. If
Mhm.
you had to offer generally, let's talk to that starting entrepreneur, that one that totally gets Gina nursing her daughter, trying to, look at maybe business plans or development plan, whatever. Give her a couple of words of motivation and encouragement.
Oh, I would say first, don't let anyone break your spirit, right? Don't let anyone take you or distract you from the path that you're on, because that will happen many, many times. Many people have told me, why don't you just go get a job? Just hang up your shingle. I mean, it seems difficult. You're having challenges. Don't let them talk you out of it. It is the
Did
most.
you ever did was that one of those voices yours? Did you ever feel that kind
I
of
would say, yeah, probably not to begin with, because it was very exciting. But yeah, there were times where, like during the recession when all development projects stopped. I mean, I was in a ton of trouble, and part of it was that I didn't have a line of credit to float my business receivables, or to tide me over until this recession passed. And yeah, there were plenty of times then where I was just like, to hell with this. I'm just going to go get a big fat job and live comfortably. But I wouldn't, one of my colleagues said to me a long time ago, and I've glommed onto this idea that I am psychologically unemployable. Like, I'm just not. You can't employ me. I mean, I'm just not employable, right? And so as many times as I got to that point, like, I'm
you're
through.
like,
I
oh,
just like, I
I
can't
can't
do it.
do it.
I got to
You
be the
know,
boss.
I will tell you, I had a glimmer, like a flash of that. I dare to say more recently than not. And then I thought about that alternative. And I was like, ooh, girl, you better work harder, Miss Ann, because you ain't going. I haven't worked for anybody in 20 years. I
Exactly.
wouldn't even, I am psychologically unemployable. God bless you for
Yes.
that. So, like, get your mind right, girl, because you can't. That's not an
Yes,
option.
it's
You
really
can't do
not an
it.
option. It's not an option. And obviously there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but part of it is DNA, right? And so especially if you've been doing this for 2 decades, it's very hard to see yourself any other way.
It's true. It's true. So you mentioned line of credit as if I coached you to a segue, but I didn't.
You did
But
not.
let's seg on way to the Bow Collective, our little jam, our little jewel, our
Hey,
new little baby. I
yes.
want you to tell our audience, number one, tell us what you think about the collective, and then give us some specifics about that capital that you're referencing, line of credit, and your
Sure.
position and your hopes.
I think what's been the most fascinating to me, and I guess the biggest benefit is to have 50 like-minded Black women that are now like your best friends. Like, it's very hard also as an entrepreneur to maintain friendships, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That is a real challenge. And so having 50 Black women best friends is like it's like been a dream of mine, really. So that's just beautiful and powerful. And when you and I started talking early on about this, from the door, I was in love with the concept. And then to focus on finance and capital and helping women uh, basically stabilize their businesses and grow their businesses, and to be selected as a co-chair for that work is huge to me, and I'm grateful. It is definitely the space I know exceptionally well. I've spent 25 years structuring financing for projects. I understand finance upside down, backwards, forwards, and I'm very passionate about it. In fact, many people, some of my business partners, my husband, they call me a nerd because I love spreadsheets, right? So doing this work is really important to me. And, I've been in business, right, for 20 years, and just recently, right, got my first real meaningful line of credit, seven-figure line of credit, right? Now
Yeah.
all the banks that I talked to told me that was impossible. And I went through like a 6-month underwriting process with this bank, a black bank,
Mhm.
who supported me and approved this line of credit, which has honestly, Nick, I now have 17 employees. Right? When I started on this journey of trying to get a line of credit, I think I had 6.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how powerful, right?
Yes.
Credit. So now,
Overnight.
now I can manage this $300 million line of business portfolio
Yes.
of work. I could not do
Yes.
that without it. So my
Yes.
job in life is to help my sisters have access and secure the
Secure.
because
Not access. We
that's
want
right.
to
That's right.
secure
It's
it.
about securing it because all banks want to say, yes, we'd love you to apply. And then they reject us. And
Yeah.
so we are working hard as a collective to show the power of what we bring to our economy, $2.8 billion, right? Since we've been in inception in terms of all of our companies, $2.8 billion we've contributed to this economy. This year, we will make $368 million collectively. So
Yes.
this is a powerful, powerful thing we are embarking on, and we are going to make a difference for ourselves, for our families. We're going to help create generational wealth for our families. We're going to touch all of the families that we employ, over 1,200 individuals we employ as a collective. We're here to stay, and we're just going to keep growing the Bow Collective. After our first year, we're going to bring in as many other Black women-owned businesses as we can.
Amen.
And thank
Amen. Tell them numbers. Tell them numbers. I love it. And you know what? Out of everything you said, I'm deeply passionate about capital. But what you first started was literally the heart and soul, which is you do have 50 new BFFs
I do.
that are on the same page
Yes.
about supporting each other. Everybody is busy as hell.
There's
That is to be sure.
mhm.
And when I pick up the phone, people answer.
They do.
And we are really coming together. I think some of us even were just happy to be in that first room to be
Ugh,
like, oh my gosh,
it was so
look
delicious.
at all of these amazing people. And so it's something that I have always known, but that we are not these unicorns. They make us think that we're
Right.
so unusual that, oh, this doesn't happen. And so we start to believe it ourselves. And
Oh, no
part of
doubt.
what I wanted was bring us together. No, we are together. We are cumulatively bringing amassing all of that revenue,
Mhm.
those the people that we employ, the communities that we're shaping.
Mhm.
That's the biggest part about bringing us together is we need the data. We need to verify that we are not an anomaly, that we are out here doing it. We just didn't know about each other.
Right.
And
That's right.
that's going to change. That is going to change. So I want to thank you. I'm bowing to the bow. I am bowing to the bow. I love you deeply,
I love you.
Gina. I want you to tell our audience how they can stay connected with you. And yeah, you have the last word.
Thanks. You can check me out on LinkedIn. You can also email me, gmerritt@nreuv.com. Holla at your girl.
I love it. Thank you so much, sister.
Thank you.
And that concludes another edition. Do you see these pearls, these beautiful pearls? We have extraordinary women out there, Black women owners doing amazing things in our community. Thank you so much for joining us. Come back next week. We're going to have another great time. Please follow us, thebowcollective.org. Again, follow Gina, follow all of us. Go to our website and really look at these women just doing great things humbly but confidently every day. Until next time.